Hello everyone, and welcome to our 30 minutes of gentle yoga. My name is Eleni. Thank you so much for joining me. Today, if you do have a yoga blanket or 2 yoga blocks, feel free to have those handy just in case. We will get started in a comfortable seated position, easy seat pose, and feel free to elevate the hips by using a blanket or a folded towel. So let's go ahead and get started with our breath. If it feels comfortable for you, bringing one hand to the heart, one hand to the belly, maybe softening the gaze or closing the eyes, and starting to draw the awareness into the physical body. Noticing the sensations that arise. And noticing our pattern of breath here as we get grounded and centered in this space of our practice today. Feel free to start activating that 3 parts yogic breath, breathing deep into the base of the belly and then letting your breath rise into the rib cage and all the way up to the chest, and then feel the breath soften, the chest, the ribs, the belly release. Inhaling the belly, the ribs, and the chest. Exhaling the chest, the ribs, and the belly. Just connecting here, your own rhythm, your own pace. If there's any intention you'd like to set guiding our practice today, feel free to do so. Inviting this energy into our movement and our breath. Sealing our intention with a breath as we exhale. Taking a deep breath in through the nose. And then exhaling out through the mouth. So we will begin. Go ahead and lift the gaze. If you'd like to switch the cross of the legs, we are going to stay here for a moment. Arms reach up on the in-breath. And the exhale presses the palms away. Inhale, the arms reach up. Exhale, palms press. One more time, deep breath in. And exhale. I'll be mirroring you for this practice, so we'll inhale, lift. Let's take it to the right side. Ground that right palm, reach up and over with the left arm. Inhale, coming back up through center, over to the other side. Inhale through center. We'll take a twist here, twisting over to our right. Inhale, the arms reach up, come back through neutral. Exhale to the left. Inhale, reaching up. And exhale, hands to the heart. So we'll go ahead and meet on hands and knees. And of course, as always, if anything doesn't feel right for you, or if anything just isn't fitting today, please modify or skip the pose and listen to your body as your greatest teacher. I always like to pad the knees here to give a little extra support, so that's an option for you as well. If you have a blanket or a towel, feel free to bring those underneath the knees. Let's make our way into our tabletop, spreading the fingers wide. Wrists can be below the shoulders or a little bit in front of here. Cat-cow pose, knees under the hips. We'll inhale, draw the belly towards the earth, reaching the heart forward. And the exhale rounds the spine, tucks the chin, tucks the tailbone. Inhale, the belly draws down, the heart reaches forward. Exhale to round. Moving at your own pace here. Working with your breath. Adding any extra movement that might feel good here for the body. If you want to rock the hips a little bit. And taking a full cycle, we'll meet in our child's pose. Coming back through neutral, big toes to touch, knees will come nice and wide. We'll sit our hips back towards the heels. Reaching the arms forward, resting the forehead gently. Inhale, the gaze lifts. We'll take it over to one side. So I'm coming over to the left first. Inhaling back through the center, let's take it to the other side and fold. Breathing through the side body. Inhaling, coming back through the center, tabletop. And let's pop up into a little downward facing dog. So curling the toes, lifting the hips, coming into that inverted triangle. Take a moment here just to wiggle the hips a little bit. Bend one knee, bend the other, rock it out. Try to let the head hang nice and heavy here. Good. We come back onto hands and knees for thread the needle pose. So we'll inhale, right arm lifts, sweep the arm high, and we'll take it underneath. So let's thread the needle. Hips are high. Reach your opposite arm forward. And you can come onto tented fingers here as well. And the forehead can rest on the floor if that feels better for the neck. And let's walk our left palm back, reach that right arm up, take a deep breath in, and release. We'll take it to the opposite side, left arm reaches high. Thread the arm underneath, palm facing up. Walk those right two fingertips forward if that feels okay. And then option to stay here with the palm rooted. You can also come onto spider fingertips here. You can also rest the forehead on the mat if that feels better. Walking that right palm back, pressing down, lifting through the left arm, deep breath in. Exhale. Good. We're going to stay here and do some barrel rolls. So big circles with the hips. Tops of the feet can be grounded, or you can curl the toes and invite a little foot stretch as well. So just big circles here, rolling the torso. Rolling in the opposite direction. Come back onto all fours. We'll make our way into puppy pose. So hips are going to stay high as we walk our hands forward. If we can bring the forehead towards the mat. Let the hips stay high. Rest here. And then slowly gaze forward as you bend the elbows, slither onto the belly. We'll come into our Sphinx. So here the elbows are underneath the shoulders, the fingers can spread wide and the gaze is forward. Another option is to bring the palms together, creating a triangle shape with the arms. And then maybe the chin drops towards the chest, creating that space through the back of the neck. Inhaling, the gaze lifts. We come into crocodile pose. So we'll stack both hands and then rest the forehead on top of that top hand. If you like some movement here, feel free to bend the knees, windshield wiper the feet right to left if that feels good. Come into our next back bend here. So I forgot to mention, if you have the blanket here, feel free to move it if it's not comfortable. It does add a little bit of tiny depth to the back bend. So if that's just not what we're looking for today, go ahead and remove the blanket. Palms can come underneath the shoulders. We're going to come into our baby cobra. So the tops of the feet are rooted onto the earth. We'll inhale, start to lift, roll the shoulders back. We're not pressing down through the palms. It's a gentle guiding here. So even if the palms are light, they might hover, or the fingertips might come on the earth. But try to use the muscles of the back to create that lift. We'll take another breath in. And the exhale softens the forehead, releases. We'll do this 2 more times. So we're inhaling, slow lift, gaze lifts, rolling the shoulders back. Breathing here, try not to squeeze or hold the breath. And release. Last one, we're lifting up, breathing, and release. Beautiful. Finding that child's pose here, knees wide, big toes to touch, reaching the arms forward, softening. You can even rest the forearms on the ground if you'd like. So let's take a little thread the needle variation with our child's pose. This sometimes feels really good, especially when we're having a lot of tension up here in our shoulders. So you can always grab a block here that is going to support the head even more so in the posture. So let's go ahead and take our right arm and thread it underneath, or whichever arm is best for you. And then you can relax your left arm or your opposite arm on the mat. Here you can use your block and snuggle your forehead on the block. You also can just rest your forehead on the earth. Some of us, that might not be available or comfortable. So I suggest using a block here to support the head. And then just noticing whichever arm is threaded underneath, that nice stretch to the upper arm. And then we'll slowly release. So bringing that left hand or right hand, whichever arm was extended out, and then unthread here. Let's take a moment just to reset the shoulders. So we're going to roll the shoulders a couple times up, down, and back. Good. All right, let's do the other side. Whichever arm you didn't do, thread it underneath, relaxing that opposite arm onto the mat, softening the forehead towards the mat or a block. Breathing, noticing here. How does this arm maybe feel a little bit different? Are we able to soften a little bit and relax into the stretch? And if we're holding a lot of tension here, working with our breath. And slowly let's release, taking that extended arm that's out, pressing down, unthreading. And again, let's come back to our hero's pose, sitting back on the heels and rolling the shoulders up, down, and back. Feel free to shake the arms a little bit, wiggle around if that feels good. Awesome. All right, we're coming onto our seat once again. So when I say it, a gentle practice, I'm pretty much staying on the floor. If you guys take my classes often, you know that I teach a lot of yin. So some of these poses are yin postures. We're just not holding them for as long. All right, let's take a butterfly pose. Work with the hips here, outer edges of the feet together and the knees wide. You can take a moment here just to sit up nice and straight. And of course you can elevate and sit on the outermost edge of your blanket to get that little pelvic tilt forward. So just finding that nice tall spine, getting nice and tall. Feel free to stay here. Also, blocks can come underneath the thighs if that will support the hips, if you feel any pulling in the joint. You can also bring your blocks forward, hinge forward from the hip, not the low back. So we don't want to rounding through the low back here. And you can always rest your arms on blocks. So chin can tuck slightly, and this will just deepen the stretch a little bit. Notice where you're feeling that little bit of tension. Inhaling, the gaze lifts, we walk it back. Let's extend our right leg out, left foot towards the inner thigh, reaching the arms up here. The exhale slides that right arm along the shin. You can also use a block, and then reaching up and over. Inhale, coming back through the center. We're going to do a little trick here. So ground your left palm to the outside of that left hip. We're going to spin onto this foot and lift on our knee and lift up. And release. Beautiful. Switch legs, left leg out, right leg in. Arms reach up, deep breath. And slide that left arm along the shin, or of course you can use a block. Reaching up and over with the right arm. Coming back through center, let's do our little trick here. Ground through that right palm, scoop that right arm up, come onto the sole of the foot, and reach up. And release. Beautiful. All right, last seated pose before we come down onto our backs. We'll take a wide-legged straddle here. Come as far as you can comfortably so that the feet don't wobble. You can flex the feet here. We want to get nice and tall like we did in butterfly, and then hinge from the hip forward. So using blocks, I love using props in any form of yoga. It just, to me, it enhances the practice. If you don't have traditional yoga blocks, you can use couch pillows, long bed pillows. You can, some people use books if they're sturdy. Some people use like beach towels, like I said, instead of a yoga blanket. So there's lots of ways to use what you have around the house. You don't have to spend a ton of money on all, you know, the yoga essentials. Good, slowly releasing, walking it back. Bring those legs together. Let's take a little windshield wiper right to lefts. Let's meet on our backs. So come on down. We're gonna come straight into our figure four pose, working a little bit deeper with the hips. So crossing that right ankle over the left thigh, reaching that right knee out to the right so you create that window with the leg. Options here, you can keep that left foot rooted. Another option is to slide a block underneath the left foot. You can also bring your left knee in towards the chest, interlaced behind the thigh or the shin. Right foot is flexed here. So I always encourage people to kind of test out all three and see what's going to work today. And one side may be different than the other, so just acknowledging that. And releasing here, let's switch the legs. You can ground that right foot, left ankle to the right thigh. Take your variation here, whatever you like. And then we'll just breathe and hold here. Feel free to soften the gaze if that feels good. And releasing. We'll take those windshield wipers once again, just big windshield wiper right to left. Knees hugging into the chest, give yourself a squeeze and a rock here. Come into happy baby pose, the outer edges of the feet. You can grab here. You can also bring the hands to the shins, trying to flex the feet towards the sky, keeping the spine nice and long, the low back towards the earth. We'll take a final twist here. Knees come into the chest, rolling onto that right or left side, reaching out with the opposite arm. Coming back through center, taking your twist over to the other side. And back through center. If you'd like to come back through one last happy baby here, if that feels good for the spine. And then we'll start to meet in our Shavasana. So lots of ways to set up Shavasana. You can bring the legs out, walk long, and rest the hands on the belly or beside the body. You can also bend the knees, especially if we have any tension in the low back, and draw the knees in, keeping the feet wide. So finding what works for you today and settling in. feeling the practice and the doingness and the activity start to release. And allowing the body and the breath to settle, soften, connect. I invite you to stay as long as you'd like today, if you have that luxury of time and space. Otherwise, you can start to wiggle the toes and the fingers, the ankles and the wrist. Feel free to reach the arms overhead and the toes forward. Take a nice deep stretch. Hug the knees into the chest and gently rock onto one side. Softly press up to our seated position as we close together. Reaching the arms high. Bringing the hands down to the heart. Thank you so much for joining me today. Wishing you peace, love, and light on your journey.